All right, we're going to be going over notes unit 5.5, simplifying square roots. I'm just getting out some pens and highlighters to get started. All right, you can pause the video at any time, but these are two definition words that you might find helpful. And right now we're going to get into talking about our list of perfect squares, which is going to be this row here. So perfect squares. So I have 1 squared, which is 1, 2 squared, which is 4, 3 squared, which is 9, 4 squared, which is 16, 5 squared, which is 25, 6 squared, which is 36, 7 squared, which is 49, 8 squared, which is 64, 9 squared, which is 81, and 10 squared, which is 100. And this is my list of perfect squares. This is a radical sign, and the number under it is called the radicand, but you don't really need to know that. All right, pause this video and simplify 1 through 8. All right, hopefully these are the numbers you got. All right, turning to the next page. So this is the same concept, but we're just going to be checking with this chart here. So for instance, the square root of 81 is just 9. That's it. But if you look at number 10, when there's a negative sign on the outside, that goes into your final answer. So this isn't just 10, it would be negative 10. One like 11, again, that plus or minus goes with it. So it's a plus or minus 11. Number 12, a little bit trickier, but basically this is what I'm going to do. Since the 9 and the 25 are both underneath that radical, I'll separate them so they both get their own. Then the square root of 9 is 3, and the square root of 25 is 5. Looking at number 13, that's where it starts to get a little bit iffy because it does have a negative sign, like number 10 did, but the negative is under the radical, which we are not allowed to have. So this one, no real solutions. And again, we have a negative number underneath the radical. So again, no real solutions. Looking at number 15, so the square root of 144 is 12. And we have this plus or minus sign in front. This is the same thing as, so plus or minus 12 is the same thing as, or positive 12, negative 12. Basically, for problems like this, you get 2 answers. Either one of those is fine. Lastly, I'm just going to start number 16. I get negative 6 over 9, which will reduce to negative 2 over 3. All right, looking at number 17, that negative is on the outside. You'll end up with negative 1/2. The square root of 81 over the square root of 121. That'll give you 9 over 11. The square root of 49 over the square root of 196. And you should pause this section and just try these on your own, and I can put up the answers in a sec. right, and that's the solutions for number 17 through 22. All right, so find the square root of each. This is actually a lot easier than you would think. So, square root of 3. I ask myself, can I simplify this further without getting a decimal? And the answer is no. So this is actually my final answer. Looking at number 2, I am going to find the square root of 22. Can I simplify this further without getting a decimal? Again, the answer is no. Box it up. Number 3, square root of 25. We know that this is a perfect square, and the square root of 25 is 5. So that is my final answer. Now we're going to get to number 4. The square root of 24. And we're going to think back to that list of perfect squares we had, which I can write here at the top. It is 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100. And I have to think, which one of these numbers is going to divide evenly into 24? The answer to that is 4. So I'm going to break down 24 into 4 times 6. And we're going to see how this can simplify. I do know what the square root of 4 is. The square root of 4 is 2. There is no square root of 6, so it has to stay underneath the radical. That is my final answer. Looking at number 5. Square root of 35. I need to ask myself, do any of these numbers divide into 35? The answer is no. It's going to get boxed, and that's going to be it. Square root of 26. None of these numbers up here will divide into 26 evenly. So this is it. 2 goes into 26, but it's not on my list of perfect squares. Square root of 37. Cannot simplify. That would be my final answer. Square root of 50. The number on this list that goes into 50, 25, right? 50 can break up into 25 times 2. The square root of 25 is 5. There is no square root of 2, so it stays under the radical. That's my final answer. All right, let's look down here. Find the square root of all of these. Pause this, and you're going to put these numbers in your calculator and try to find the solutions. So pause the video. All right, let's fill in some of these answers. And all I'm doing is plugging this in my calculator. And I'm just getting perfect whole numbers. All right, you can turn to page 22. So this is more of practicing. This is just an example on how to simplify radicals. So you could read through this on your own. All right, try to fill out this table again without looking. And this list here, that is our perfect squares. These numbers that are in yellow. So looking at 12, what is the biggest number from the yellow that divides into 12? The answer is 4. And what gives us that is 4 times 3 to get 12. The square root of 4 is 2, and there is no square root of 3. So then my final answer is just 2 root 3. You can pause this at any point and try these on your own. Otherwise, you can keep watching along. All right, the biggest number that divides into 27 from my perfect square list is 9. And 9 times 3 is what gives me 27. The square root of 9 is 3. That 3 has to stay underneath the radical. My final answer, 3 root 3. Letter C, the biggest perfect square that goes into 125 is 25. And it's 25 times 5, that would give you 125. The square root of 25 is 5, which gets to come out of the radical. But that other 5 has to stay underneath it because there is no square root of 5. Finally, this would be my final answer. 5 radical 5. Lastly, my biggest perfect square that goes into 700 is 100. And it's 100 times 7 that would get me there. The square root of 100 is 10. There is no square root of 7. Final answer, 10 radical 7. All right, you're going to try these on your own. Pause the video. I will put up the answers so that you can check yourself. Make sure you show your work, but these are the rest of the final answers. And that's it.